Hi guys, this is just an interview with one of my clients, Beau. For the last 2 weeks, we've been running a little bit of a retreat out here in Bali. Introduce yourself, Beau.
What's going on? It's obviously my name is Beau Bachelor. This is the first podcast that I've done. I actually have hosted a couple, but this is the first one. So we've had an interesting couple years.
Yep.
Mason obviously knows what's been happening over the last couple of years, and been working with Mason recently, and it's been a journey. It's been a journey. Very grateful. I'm sure a lot of it in this we're gonna talk about a lot of it. But yeah, love business. We're out here in Bali. Been living with Mason. We haven't killed each other yet, so it's been really good. Like spending time, seeing the way he acts, everything he does. Being close to the source and whatnot. But I'm just thinking, where's the best place to start, Mason? What do you think?
Yeah, so the question I thought of is, obviously to most people, and probably even to yourself before starting working with me, like eating raw foods and like doing a lot of the things I've had you do, seem like pretty like outlandish to begin with. Like it's completely out of the ordinary. So like what kind of place were you at in your health journey, or like where was your health to actually bring you to that level of desperation to, be willing to make those changes?
So, like it is the most ridiculous thing ever. Like coming from, there's two types of mentalities, right? You got like the mainstream mentality, and you got the other side of it. And I feel like, so many people are held up by this wall in between of going to the raw foods in the first place, because it's just such a fucking like social, I don't know, there's this wall that stops them from even accepting that it could possibly even be good for them, because they just don't want to go down that. There's no like lie about it. Eating raw food is a mindfuck.
Yeah. That's the programming,
Yeah, it's the programming, and I would say I've been grateful enough over the last 5 years to be able to witness a lot of the programming, the propaganda, the garbage in the society that has, obviously literally psyops, right? Trying to change our psychology, what do they call it? Psychological operations, psyop. And I firsthand saw it a lot for myself. And so the way I go through about life is just, I'm in search of truth. Before I spoke to you, before I saw you, I had spoken to like 4 different people, like 4 different health people. Obviously, my health was in a interesting place. There was,
let's give some context to it. What was going on before you were reaching out to all these guys?
So pretty much what happened was, I'll try and make it as concise as possible, but 2023, incredibly good year for business, for life, everything like that was on top of the world. I have had a not a receding hairline, but it's something that I've been somewhat self-conscious about. Starting from about the age of maybe 19 or 20. Started off pretty mild. I was, looking at it now just a bit overreactive about it. And then as time started to go on, I was like, okay, this is getting worse. Like, I'm not too happy about this. And so in 2023, I was like, okay, what do you need to do about hair loss? And, you go down the mainstream of Minoxidil, Finasteride. If any of you have ever looked into it, you'll know that this is a deep, dark web. And there's lots of fear around, Finasteride, there's a whole bunch of side effects, and there's these 2 camps. Oh, yes, it does have side effects. No, it doesn't. And now I look at it, it's like I'm the one who got obliterated by it. But the whole purpose of the drug was to crash your DHT, dihydrotestosterone, one of the most potent forms of testosterone in your body. Right? Obviously, that's going to have a negative impact. Pretty much, very, very long story. But I started on Minoxidil. Most people say there's no negative side effects on that, but I started getting into psychologically just going crazy. I just remember having days where I would be sitting at home and looking at a wall because my body was just freaking out so much, and I can't really explain what it was like, but I remember just sitting at a wall and feeling like I was dying, and I just can't explain it, but I was just... Anyway, so Minoxidil, at the time I didn't think it was from that. I didn't know what the hell was going on, but I'm like, it can't be from Minoxidil, there's no side effects from it to it. I look back at all my journal entries from this point, and I was just like, it was a terrible place. I felt so uncomfortable in my own body all the time. I couldn't concentrate, I couldn't do work, work was falling to pieces, my business was falling apart. And then, kind of went down the Minoxidil route, didn't know this was causing all of the fuckery. And then started on Finasteride, and that was really not good. That really fucked me up.
Yeah.
So dick stopped working, no sex drive, and that's been one of the biggest things. Like, I mean, one of the many things I've been working on. All these things I've been working to get back.
Yep.
What else? Memory issues, like just not being able to concentrate whatsoever.
And that was obviously affecting your business.
Oh yeah,
as
absolutely.
a business owner, as an entrepreneur,
Yeah.
like you can speak to
100%.
the massive effect and massive detriment poor health will have on your productivity.
Yeah,
in
100%.
consequence, your revenue, profit, everything.
Yeah, that it was terrible. Didn't feel any emotions.
Yep.
So there's a word for it, anhedonia. Turns out there's a word, anhedonia, and that's like just not feeling any pleasure whatsoever. I felt like I was dead, and then it's hard to explain the full extent of this because it's changed so much over time, and it wasn't as simple as just taking Finasteride, because there was a couple of times where I took the Finasteride for a month, got all these bad side effects, and then 3 or 4 months later, I went back on it at a quarter of the dose because I'm like, oh well, you know, if you're going back on the quarter. Anyway, long story short, at that point, I ended up getting some more like dutasteride injections in my head, which is like an even more potent form of Finasteride, where it blocks like 99% of DHT. And that was the worst. I remember going to Thailand at the time, 2 days or 3 days after I got it, and I couldn't speak to people. Like I couldn't find the words to speak to people.
You were mentally like retarded.
I was retarded. I couldn't read a piece of paper. Like I couldn't read a sentence and tell you what was going on.
Yeah.
It was terrible. So, yeah, I mean, my whole life pretty much just like flipped upside down. And like this, I've never mentioned this at all. So like this is the first time I've like mentioned this publicly online. My close friends have known about it, but so to answer your question, like the list goes on, by the way. Like I've listed out a whole bunch of things, but it got worse. Like my brain just never thought. Like I could never think naturally. Thoughts were always coming to me, and I was like inspired and wanted to do stuff, and then thoughts just never came to me. So trying to sit down and do a task at work was impossible, because I remember, you know, I'd sit down and go, okay, this is what I need to do, and then I would start doing the task. Let's just say I was in Notes on my laptop. And then I would try to do the next thing, whether it's to go to Safari or go to Chrome, whatever you're going to, and I would fucking forget what I'm doing. Like I'm trying to do this task, and I would forget what I was doing so much in the moment that I couldn't actually go over and do the thing. So it just made working impossible. Like it would take me hours and hours to write an email, like a simple email, because I would look at it and I would be like, oh, like I just couldn't get words out. I couldn't fucking, you know, it was terrible. So I'm naturally a problem solver, and I guess any person would be in that situation. You know, you're obviously going to want to try and fix your health. And I guess it's like I guess I just attack this the same way I attack everything in life, which is, I mean, I firstly don't trust, not that I don't trust too many people, but like I'm always interested, why did this person have this belief? Like where did he get this confidence from in his belief? Where, like what basis, what are they standing on? And like the medical system, the whole, whatever you want to call that, doesn't really have too much to stand on. You know, it's pretty evident that they just want you to go on this roller coaster of like, hey, pay us money to get surgery or pay us money to get medication.
Treat the symptoms, and that's like what you experienced with everything that you went through around your hair loss. Purely treating the symptoms, and then you had all the side effects.
100%. Like that was the biggest thing, right? Seeing that. I think another part of it is just like seeing the world. I think, you know, obviously that whole event that happened like in the last 5 years with the lockdowns, whatever, which we won't, like, I think YouTube shadow bans it if you talk about it. I'm not too sure.
Anyway, obviously you guys know what we're talking about.
Yeah. But like seeing that all unfold, that whole psyop, and then looking further down, and like once that happened, my mind just got opened up to a whole bunch of different fuckery, and like a bit of a controversial take, but like I don't believe World War II happened the way World War II actually did, you know, and like this is a story, I'm not going to get into detail talking about World War II here, but the fact was that I was already challenging my beliefs. I was already like challenging what I was being told. And
it was the lockdowns, that was the catalyst for like you just opening your mind to like the authority is, you know, not this just power that, you know, you're raised to believe and taught in school to believe, but really they're flawed and they're corrupt. And
100%. It's at that point I'm like, okay, I don't trust any of the news. I don't trust like most of, I don't know, you just like look at life through a different set of eyes. It's like, is this really it? Is what I'm told right now really it? And especially with the medical side of things. And so, yeah, I mean, I remember having a very clear pivotal moment where I was at my house. It had probably been going on for about 8 months at this point, 8 or 9 months, and kind of going through waves, like where it it was just kind of lingering, and sometimes I would try and forget about it, try and push it aside, and I'd just be like in this hole, hoping that I'm going to get out. And I'm like 8 months in, I'm like, okay, nothing's changing here. Need to do something about it. And I'm like, okay, well, if you want to learn how to do stuff in business, if you want to be in good in business, you know what you do? You go to someone who's good in business. You pay that person who has already had a successful business, and you learn what they do. You know, I also went to uni, and uni's a scam. Like, I went and did business at uni, and I'll happily say, like, not a scam. Like, sure, if you're going to go and get a job and you want to work up the corporate ranks, sure, it's fine. That's fine. Like, it's not bad. It's going to help you probably get a job. But considering I always knew I wanted to be competent in business, you know, university didn't serve me. And I think that was another one of those awakening moments, which was like, oh, I'm getting taught business from someone who actually has no idea about business right now. They're just looking at a script. I learned fucking nothing, bro, honestly. So how did I get to this point? Oh, I had this moment where I'm like, okay, cool. The most I ever learned in business was when I paid money for a mentorship from someone who had a successful business. I'm like, well, why wouldn't I just do the same thing for health? Right? Like, I'm not going to go listen to the medical system. I'm not going to listen to the news. I'm like, obviously going to go to someone who has had a similar thing and fix it.
Yep.
And then at that point, that's when I went down the rabbit hole of Reddit and trying to find sources which were like unfiltered, unpatrolled, I don't know what the word is, but like uncensored, I guess.
Yeah.
And yeah, really went deep into the rabbit hole of Reddit. You know, why was this happening? You know, turns out there was lots of people that had the exact same thing. What were you going to say?
No, I was just saying Reddit's a funny place a lot of rabbit holes you can go down on Reddit. But yeah, well, I just wanted to bring it back to one thing when you were talking about like earlier, when your world kind of felt like it was falling apart, or like everything felt numb and you didn't have, you know, any of the energy or like the vitality you used to have in life. We were having a conversation like a week ago, basically, and we were talking about spirituality and the role of spirituality in leading and living a better life. And you made like the really good point. I forget how you phrased it, but it was like, when you don't have your health in order, your body is not even in the place to receive like the external inputs or to experience reality.
100%.
Like that was, I thought you put it in a really good way. Like maybe speak on that a bit.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. I think it was, well, I mean, it was just the fact that everything I ever wanted to achieve from 2023 and prior, I got to a point when I was in this hole where I'm like, you could give me everything I've ever wanted right now, and it would not make me feel a single thing. Yeah. And I think it was...
Did you even want things like in that moment? You were just like numb to even...
I was numb as fuck. I was like, I literally thought I was, you know, I was dead. I was a dead human in terms of no emotions whatsoever. And then I think that was that point where it was like, you know, wow, you know, health is really that one thing. If your health is in order, the outside world is going to be so beautiful because you're in a receptive state where you can experience these things. And, yeah, that was a massive wake-up call. And so now I obviously look through the eyes of, if you want to achieve big things outside, it's like externally, you want to achieve big things in business, or you want to have a fulfilling relationship with a female or whatever, that all comes within. It's all got to do with your health. And if you're not looking after your health, then these things are going to they're just not going to fulfill you at all. So I think, is that what you were kind of talking about?
That was, you put it really well. Yeah, like as within, so without. Like if you want to... you know, experience the world through a positive lens, you first have to heal and fix and correct that lens that is your biological organism, that is your body.
It's all internal, eh? It all comes from within.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and like we were talking, like spirituality is, and you know, working with the mind and working the subconscious is like one lever to do that, but it only goes so deep.
Yes, this is a good conversation we had. It was like a triangle. I remember... Camera over here, triangle. So it was, I was explaining this to Kai and I was saying, this is the way I perceive it, and you agreed.
Yeah.
It was, because obviously we live in a world where therapy and all of these, you know, mind hacks are so popular.
Everyone's dependent on them. It's fucking billions of dollars worth.
And then above that, you know, that's good. The meditation's good, the yoga's good, all this is good, right? But it's not the base foundation, which we'll talk about in a second.
Well, and you've paid for like coaches on that more mental side of things.
Yeah.
So you can sort of make, or you're still doing that, but you can make like the active comparison. You know, maybe even your results working with like these sort of mindset, spirituality mentors are accelerated since, you know, improving your health. But you can make that comparison.
Yeah, I think without your health at that base fundamental layer, everything you do on top is not going to be as efficient or as effective. Because like if you got that base foundation right, you're eating the right food. In this case, obviously we know that raw food is what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
If you're eating the right food, your hormones are going to be right. Like your body is going to be more happy, more nourished. It's going to get like your hormones are going to be more in check. Your mental clarity is going to be better. You're going to be able to make better decisions. It's all at this base fundamental layer. And if your diet's off, then no matter how much yoga or how much breath work or whatever therapy or whatever like coaching you're doing for that mental side, like you're just going to be dealing through weeds. You're going to be battling unnecessary. The way I see it, you're going to be pushing an uphill battle. Yeah, you're like untangling all these weeds, but I think they're actually unnecessary weeds. It's like these are just things that you should already be in a good space if you're eating good food. So like it's like if you eat good food and then you go and do like I know you're not a very big advocate for yoga, but in this case, like if you're going to do something like this, the effects are going to be exponential because you're not.
Will you be able to actually reap the effects and have the experience that you're meant to get out of it?
100%.
Yeah, I mean, you could even extrapolate this same thing into like any of the worldly issues, like politics, like people pursuing money, materialism, all these sort of things. It's like they treat it, spirituality, the same way. They treat it as like the Band-Aid solution to their internal problems.
Yep.
But it only goes, like if we're talking about the pyramid, it only goes to like the second level. It doesn't go to that base, which is health.
So I think that's a massive, like it's so stupid. And then even above that, that second layer, because you've got first layer, which is like health, and that's going to be your food inputs, water, sleep. Yep. And then the second one's going to be like the top, the meditation, the breath work, if you're going to do that. The mental coaching, whatever that is. Above that would be like the worst, which is well, not the worst, but in my mind I was thinking like fucking pharmaceutical medications, but that's not even in the triangle. Like obviously that's just poison.
Yeah.
But
the top would just be like completely neglecting any of these internal things, because spirituality, mindset stuff, it's still internal. It's still addressing deeper levels of the issue. But most people just touch the surface or like try to treat their shit quality of life and their shit life by changing things externally, getting a new car, getting a new job, a new partner, changing like their fashion sense, new haircut, and it's like never going to change what's inside.
Yeah, and that's something that has been interesting because throughout this experience, I literally was conscious of that. Like I was feeling so unfulfilled. I was struggling for, motivation, you could say, but like I just had no incentive to do work whatsoever. I didn't really feel dopamine, the satisfaction, I felt nothing. And so I was like, okay, like, fuck, I know that any materialistic thing right now is not going to make me feel okay because it's my inner world that's not in homeostasis. But I still fell into that trap of like buying, that car. I bought like a nice car. I was like, oh, that would be good. That might give me some motivation, even though I knew I wasn't going to do it.
It was just you didn't know what else to do, right?
Yeah, I just was like, yeah, exactly. And then that also manifested itself in like traveling. I'm lucky enough for work, I can travel a little bit. So I was saying yes to all these things. Oh, maybe if I go over to Thailand or Dubai, this will like make me feel good. And it's like, you just hollow as fuck. And so this whole experience of doing all the things that most people want to do, they want to travel, they want to do all this. Like there's literally no point. You're not going to enjoy it unless your center, your inner being is receptive and going to enjoy it. Like this is where you'll come back to health, inputs, eating the right food. Yeah. So.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You got to fix the internal first, and then you can go out and really like live your life to the fullest potential. I mean, obviously, like we've been working together for probably even a couple months now, but these last 2 weeks, like we've properly dialed everything in. We've even had like rotten meat, organs, like done quite a bit, got him on some secret protocols, doing some, tough detoxes. But what's the experience been like? Like, have you had any realizations or like any big sort of milestones or?
Absolutely.
Yeah, talk on that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's very, very simple. It's like, I don't really need to say too much here, but I had tried so much. I'd spoken to so many different doctors, so many different people, not doctors, but like people who are health specialists. And I will hands down 100% say raw meat was the only one where I like had a physiological change overnight. Like I had a physiological, it wasn't, I wasn't fixed overnight. That's not really how it works. But it was the one thing where I'm like, oh, fuck, this has actually done something.
Yeah.
Like no word of a lie. So pretty much I started eating raw meat It would have been 2 months ago now.
Yeah.
I wasn't fully committed straight away because I had a lot of stuff going on at work. I had like 2 steaks on a retreat weekend that I went and did with like a few entrepreneurs and my health coach. And there was a few things that I implemented that week. There was raw meat, there was the weekend itself, and there was something else. I'll just say there was something else. And so the first night of having the raw meat, I literally had a wet dream, which is interesting.
And when was the last time you had a wet dream before that?
Knows.
Never.
I don't know, probably years.
Yeah. And like
years.
your sexual drive, your libido, I mean, before obviously having a wet dream, just non-existent.
Yeah, non-existent, and it's still something working on, but that was definitely a big sign.
Yeah.
And I didn't correlate at the time from the raw meat. So I started that. 3 days later or 4 days later, I was having physiological changes in my body. Specifically, I don't know if I should be specific or not.
You can say it.
I don't know if I should be specific, but my testicles fucking grew. Here we go.
Like noticeably.
Yeah, noticeably. And
not that I was.
Yeah, Mason was feeling him.
Yeah. No, we got like good measurement tools for that. Yeah.
But very noticeable, and that was one thing that I noticed. Like, they were smaller than usual after I went on the drug. Like when I was going through all this shit, they were smaller than usual. I knew this. I noticed this. So to see such a direct change very, very quickly, I was like, okay. I still didn't think much of it.
Yeah.
That next week ended up being the best week that I'd had in terms of mental clarity, feeling good, in over 8 months.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I remember saying, I don't know if it was you or someone else, but I remember being like, I don't know what I've done, but whatever I've done in the last 3 days, there was a few variables, has worked extremely well. And I didn't know what it was, that I didn't really think it was the raw meat. And then started getting back into it, like full on. And then same thing, bang, happened again. The first day I had raw meat, testicles up, another fucking wet dream. And I was like, wow, this is like too noticeable not to be, this is definitely it. And there's so many things. There's literally so many things that I'm even monitoring now, like on a daily basis, which are happening, and different feelings, and like I just know that this is going to be the path. This is the path, like to getting back to where I need to be.
Yeah. I mean, like, and to feeling dead, the place that you're at, how are you feeling now? You're feeling more alive. Like this week,
certainly.
You've been laughing, you've been silly, you've been playful. Like, I'm like, how's this guy sick? You know?
Yeah. Like, I have very high standards, and I do not expect, like, I don't accept anything less than feeling great, right? Like feeling great in life. And there are certain things right now, like it is early days, right? For the first like month, I was not even really on the protocol. We dabbled in it when we figured out it worked, and I've been on it. But compared to where I started, yeah, absolutely, massive improvements. I think the biggest thing right now is just seeing the daily improvements. Like there's just so much stuff. Some of the protocols Mason's got me on, like I haven't told him this, but like I had this tooth gum on the back of my mouth, which was like kind of just a flappy bit of skin, which hadn't really healed in, I don't know, 6-8 months, something like that. And yeah, like since then, like that's all healing up. I'm like, I've mentioned to you, like I'm seeing more hair like growing on my arms, which, some people may not like that, some people may not, but like it's a clear sign that what I'm doing is working, especially because obviously working on the hair, that's a great sign. The hair's being stimulated. My dreams, bro, I haven't told you about this, but my dreams every single night are like going crazy. Like,
bro, what? Tell me.
Oh, well, some of them aren't good. Some of them are like kind of, it's morbid. Like, fuck. No, I can't talk about last night's one. It was just a bit morbid. Okay. But still, it was good.
You told me about some of the wet dreams at least.
Yeah, no, some were, yes, but my mind is definitely running. Like it's working. So that was a big thing before before we got to this point. Never would dream. Yeah. Like, because my thoughts, they just didn't run. They were just dormant. My brain was like switched off. So it would, at any point, I would just sit in bed and like my brain was like, I was dead. Yeah. But now, like, there's thoughts coming back. I'm getting inspired. I can hold conversations. So yeah, there's probably more stuff that I've missed, but like I wouldn't do this. Like, this is the thing. I wouldn't do this with Mason. Like, just because I've worked, I wouldn't do that, even unless I believed it was the way to go. So like the only reason I'm doing this is because I actually believe in the protocols Mason's doing. Yeah.
Yeah, no, bro, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So, like, I mean, obviously, this is basically second last day we're together. I'm going to France. You're going to stay here in Bali.
Staying in Bali.
But, like, are you confident you'll be able to keep all this going? Like, we've been...
100%.
Yeah, I mean, because that was one of the issues that... Not issues, but it's just one of the things at the start for everyone who I bring onto the raw foods. If I'm not with them in person, they sometimes have like a little bit of a mental block to fully just committing right away. So like this has been really good running this for the last 2 weeks. And when you say it's just giving you the confidence that you can like easily keep this up, keep just like eating raw steak, you know, raw fish, whatever.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, without, I'll be carrying this through. There's no reason why I would stop them seeing the improvements that I want.
Yeah.
Business is getting better, everything's getting better. I think that was probably the best thing about living with you is that, you know, you really get to, there's a lot of questions that you'll have. Like, and this is why you're obviously open about WhatsApp and texting you and whatnot.
Yeah.
But there is a different level of just being able to walk past you and go, hey, Mason.
Yeah.
Got this question.
Yeah, yeah.
Got that, got this, got that, got that. Because, you know, in a day, like, there'll be thoughts that come up and I might not send you a message. So it's been good to actually be in the house, see what you're doing, like everything, how you're, and you know, I've challenged you a lot. I've challenged you a lot in certain things like, hey, you know, I've perceived it this way. Like, what do you think about, and I have asked you lots of difficult questions and you've always come back with a very logical answer. And then it's like, I'll go down that rabbit hole of saying, oh, okay, interesting. That's interesting. He sees it from that perspective. And yeah, so like, it's just been a natural part of my personality is truth seeking. And I'm not just going to blindly take information out of nowhere. Like the raw food stuff's got a lot of fucking merit behind it. It's got a lot of, I don't know what the word is, but like it's legit. Yeah. I find it interesting that it's taken this long to be able to get this far to find out that this is the answer.
Yeah, I mean, I'll also say that like Beau, out of basically most of the clients I work with, your intention to like take to it well, to like learn everything. Like he's always asking me, you're always asking me for, you know, further things to read on. Like you want to literally know exactly what I know. And that's why like you're reaping the benefits of it. Like that's why you have the confidence and conviction to just like follow through with it, which, you know, is really great and like something I absolutely look for or need in clients.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, like you've helped out a lot with that, even just more resources I can go down to work studies and like it's just evidence, more evidence. There's an unbelievable amount of it, which is just crazy to think that it's all been gate kept away from society. Yeah.
Which could be one of a million reasons.
Yeah. Well, it's certainly interesting. We live in a very confusing world these days, don't we? I was going to say another thing that is probably worth mentioning, which I feel like is just part of my problem-solving journey through this, is that when I was on the Reddit forums, I was seeing success stories of people who had fixed all of these like same issues that I was going through, and they'd fixed it through certain ways, such as like fecal matter transplant. So do you know what that is? It's like where they literally get a shit, they put it up, like a healthy shit, they put it up there. And I'm like, oh, like obviously I'm not, I mean, if I have to do that, I will do that, right? That was kind of my thought process. But I'm like, there's probably a better way to do this. And I put that thought down. I'm like, okay, so if they're fixing it with doing that, then clearly it's a gut microbiome issue. Yeah. So there was that. Then another one of the health guys I was speaking to, who was exceptional, by the way. I think he was really, really good. Definitely one of the better ones. He was, had to look at my full gut microbiome, everything like that. And he's like, your gut's fucked up. Go on this protocol, whatever. He's like, you pretty much just don't have the right bacteria in your gut. And then he's like, here's a stack to do your gut protocol, whatever. And
it was like a second best attempt at healing your gut. Yeah. It wasn't. Yeah. It's literally as simple as you're experiencing now, raw foods. Yep.
So there's those two. I'm like, okay, so fecal matter transplant, this dude, has obviously stated that the bacteria in my gut's messed up. And then we obviously went down like learning through you that maybe bacteria isn't as bad as what it's been made out to be. And it's like, okay, well that just makes so much sense as to why raw foods actually works, because the bacteria is what my gut needs, is what all this needs. And obviously it's much deeper than that. But there was these three things which I looked at all together. And then I was just like, wow, this is this is literally the answer. And another one of the guys I was speaking to when I mentioned about the raw foods, he's like, oh yeah, wow, we've like, that's really good. Keep doing that. We've got, I had a patient who reversed cancer from this. And so I'm just like pulling pieces and bits and pieces from everywhere. And then I get to this conclusion and I'm just like, okay, like this is the truth, you know?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, literally it is the truth. Like that you can find evidence for it in all facets of life, in all like demographics who have a history and ancestry of eating raw foods. And then even in like patients who introduce like foods as minimal as just like raw milk. But yeah, no, that's...
Raw milk's another one. Like,
you like the raw milk?
How the fuck did they manage to convince the mass population in Australia that raw milk is dangerous? Like, why has it got...
Bro, not just in Australia, like fucking global.
How has that happened that eating milk from a cow is apparently deadly? You're going to die from it. It's just stupid as shit.
Yeah. So you've been having that, you've been having the raw milk, you've been loving that, obviously.
Yep. Raw milk's that's the easiest one. It's the easiest one to implement.
It's the lowest hanging fruit. And that was like the food you even started with, right?
Yeah. I was on raw milk. There was another one, which was beef liver. But there's lots of things that I had learned from you, like just certain ways I was doing things like wrong. Yeah,
you'd speak on it like there's a lot of particulars on the food combinations, the timings.
That's one thing I didn't understand.
Yeah.
I didn't understand the importance of the timing of the food and the mixture. So like what you're having it with is super important. And that's something I didn't
Well, you're dealing with biochemistry, so it's crucial. But no, bro, that's awesome. Do you have any more thoughts or...
Any more thoughts?
Any maybe advice to like people in a similar position, maybe entrepreneurs who they've got like the money sorted, they've got
I think entrepreneurs are easy to speak to because I think most of them are just in search of truth.
Yep.
But yeah, I would say for the masses is like you already know you act this way throughout life. You're trying to find the truth, whether it's in business or whatever it is. Why wouldn't you do that with your health? And if you actually spend some time, look into it, have a chat with Mason or anyone like that, you're going to find out sooner or later that the health system and what we know about health is actually just it's fucked up. What they say about bacteria and like all that kind of stuff, it's not what it seems. And it's like, how far deep down the rabbit hole do you want to go? But yeah, I would just say for anyone, like at least just look into it. Just have a chat to Mason, have a chat. Like it's a world that I have been exposed to now that I can't unsee. So yeah, my only advice would be just, look, this is going to be a journey. I'm seeing incredible improvements every single day. But yeah, I mean, that would be the biggest thing I would say. Just tiptoe down that rabbit hole and you'll see what the truth is.
Begin to connect the dots, yeah? Because you fix your health, you literally fix your life.
Yeah, 100%. If you want to live a better life, eat better food.
Yeah,
right. You'll feel better. You get anyway, everything.
Yeah, all right, Beau. Pleasure.
Mason, it's been great living with you.
All right, thanks for watching, guys.